Right guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been 5 days, I think, of not uploading, and there's so much stuff to get through. So much is going on within the world of boxing, MMA, the internet in general, and I've missed uploading. For those of you that don't know, I've been in Dubai doing a YouTube collaboration. Those videos are going to drop next week, and I'm looking forward to getting them out because I've been wanting to do in real life content for so long. So now that my health's getting a little bit better, I want to start putting more diverse content out there. For anyone who was concerned about the direction of the channel, don't worry whatsoever. This style of content, this reaction content that we've built the channel on, is not going anywhere. This is the bread and butter right here. It's just good to get a little bit of content outside of my office for a change. So look out for that content. Make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on. Anyway, in recent news, we've got Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua confirmed.
All right, massive breaking news on this Friday evening from the world of combat sports. I have confirmed via Mr. Turki Al-Sheikh that it is a done deal. It is going down. Francis Ngannou, Le Predateur, the former UFC heavyweight champion, is returning to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Of course, just a few months removed from his incredible performance against Tyson Fury after an unbelievable year where he leaves the UFC, he signs with PFL, and then he gets the big Tyson fight and shocks everyone. He is returning to action in a boxing match later on this year to go up against the former heavyweight champion, the man who had an incredible 2023 in his own right, the man who just won at Day of Reckoning on December 23rd in Riyadh, the one and only AJ Anthony Joshua. It is a done deal on both ends. Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou, 10-round fight later on this year in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
In all honesty, I did not see this coming, but I'm kind of excited for it. Dare I say I'm more excited for this fight than it was the Fury versus Ngannou fight. I think because I knew that Fury didn't possess any knockout power and Francis Ngannou has got a good chin, I kind of knew it was going to go to a decision and maybe be a bit of a stalemate. And we didn't really know how good Francis Ngannou was at just pure boxing. Now that we know and we've got that context, it throws a little bit more excitement into the mix because since the Tyson Fury fight, Francis Ngannou in training will only be going from strength to strength. He's going to be constantly getting better. He will also be riding a big high off the back end of that fight, knowing that he pretty much won it. So Francis Ngannou's confidence is going to be sky high. And what's crazy, and I don't think any of us expected, is Francis Ngannou being able to just jump straight into the boxing heavyweight division and be right in there with all the superstars of boxing. In no way did I expect him to fight Anthony Joshua next. I know Francis Ngannou is coming off a loss against Tyson Fury, but we all knew and we all said immediately after the fight that Francis Ngannou's stock did not drop whatsoever after that loss. So the question is, now are people like Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, Deontay Wilder looking at Francis Ngannou saying, that's an easy fight, I can beat him? Or are they looking at Francis and saying, this might actually be a bit of a challenge based on how he fought against Fury? And what I really like about this is, for a good amount of time, the heavyweight division within boxing was a little bit stale, stagnant, not much was going on. It's very difficult getting the top guys to fight each other, but it feels like with Francis coming in, he's injected a new lease of life into the division almost, and into the sport. The question is, will that translate over into pay-per-view numbers? We don't really know because it's reported the Fury and Ngannou fight bombed. It didn't really sell that many pay-per-views, but now the boxing fans, and it's important that we make this distinction, actual boxing fans know that Francis Ngannou can actually pose a threat to the heavyweight division. Maybe more of them will start tuning in now. We know this fight is going to take place in Saudi Arabia too, which I'm not too happy about, to be honest. I know they've got the Arab money and the oil money, but the events themselves are dead. The atmosphere is flat. Everyone's super quiet. It's almost like these fights in Saudi Arabia are attended by people who just want the clout and the status because maybe some famous celebrities are going to be there. And I know that in Saudi Arabia, they don't really need the pay-per-views. They pretty much fund these events entirely themselves. And I don't think they're concerned about making the money back or making a profit. I think at the moment, what we're seeing is Saudi Arabia is trying to take the Dubai method and they're really trying to westernize themselves so it can attract more tourism and they can get away from the stigma of it being a very oppressed place. So they're willing to throw loads of money at these fights and make a loss on it. Francis Ngannou's probably going to get paid a few million for this fight. It's definitely going to be over 7 figures. Anthony Joshua's going to get a decent payday. So for the fighters, I guess they're not really bothered, but a fight like this, it should be in somewhere like London or France or even in America. I believe the event itself will be a lot better. It'll do better on pay-per-view. These Saudi events, in my opinion, aren't really that great. Now, who do I believe will actually win this fight if we're going to make a little bit of an early prediction? I believe Joshua has got on a lot better since that loss to Andy Ruiz. He's a lot more technical now. He picks his shots a lot better. If anything, over the last 2-3 years, it seems like he's dropped a little bit of mass, so he's not as heavy bound. He could get away with it a little bit earlier on in his career when he wasn't really facing as tough competition and he could just use his physicality to his advantage. But in this fight with Ngannou, Anthony Joshua, although being 2 inches taller, is going to be the smaller man. Joshua's 6'6", Ngannou's 6'4". I actually believe Ngannou's taller than 6'4", but Ngannou's frame is a lot bigger. He's just thicker overall. We had Joshua fight a few weeks ago against Otto Wallen, and he looked pretty good. He was setting a lot of shots up to the body. He wasn't just head hunting all the time. He looked a lot more technical, but he still had that power. Joshua looked really sharp in this fight. Everything was calculated, and I was really impressed by it. His punches were fast. They had sting on them. There was no telegraphing whatsoever. His fundamentals looked excellent. His footwork was great and better than ever. And hopefully for Joshua, he can keep on winning in a dominating fashion. We seen him fight Robert Helenius last year, and he also got a really good finish on him. I love the way Joshua sets up that right hand. He's jabbing to the body. He just jabbed once there. He jabs again to the body, then throws the overhand right, or the straight right, whatever you want to classify it as. What we've seen from Joshua recently is he's a lot more technical of a striker than he used to be, but he's still got that one-punch KO power. Now, do I believe that he can KO Francis Ngannou? I still don't believe so, because Francis, his chin, when is it ever really being tested? When have you seen Francis get rocked? Apart from within the Stipe Miocic fight within the UFC. But he was never really rocked. He was more so just really tired and getting punched, and that was it. He wasn't actually dazed and wobbly on his feet. We haven't seen it yet. So I don't believe Joshua's going to be able to KO or even stun Francis Ngannou. But we know that Joshua has sometimes got a little bit of a weak chin. He can get caught and get rocked fairly easy. Maybe not fairly easy. I'm not hating on the guy, of course. But I just believe Francis Ngannou has got a better chance of turning Joshua's lights out than it being the other way round. And also in the Ngannou and Fury fight, we've seen that Francis is actually quite patient. He didn't go in there and try and blitz Tyson Fury. He didn't go for the one-punch KO. And maybe that's what Tyson Fury was expecting. And that's why Fury couldn't get his shots off properly. And I also think we're going to see more of the same of Francis Ngannou in this fight. I don't think we're going to see him come out and try and take Joshua's head off. I mean, he might, but I think this is the era of the more patient, composed Ngannou, especially within boxing. So do I think Francis Ngannou is going to win this fight? I mean, I don't want to underestimate him because I'm an MMA guy and I love to side with the MMA guys in these crossover fights, but I mean, I am leaning a little bit more towards the side of Joshua taking this fight by a decision. Once again, I think it's going to be similar to the Fury fight. I actually think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I don't think it's going to be a domination by either fighter. I think Joshua might just be able to outpoint Ngannou over the 12 rounds. However, I do see Francis Ngannou dropping Anthony Joshua at some point in the fight, maybe in the 5th or 6th round, but I see Anthony Joshua just being a little bit more active and walking away with the decision. Now, that's me super early prediction. My opinion is completely subject to change as we see more footage of Joshua and Ngannou emerge. What do you guys think of this fight? Do you think it's going to do better than the Fury and Ngannou fight? Do you think it's going to sell more pay-per-views? Do you think anyone's going to knock each other out? Who have you got winning and how? Comment down below and tell me your initial thoughts of this fight announcement. It's good to be back in this chair. I'm absolutely knackered. I'm still jet-lagged. I can't wait to get a little bit of different type of content out to you guys next week. There's going to be a good amount of value in it. You're going to see me spar for the first time since July 2022. And I'll tell you one thing, I was absolutely gassed and struggling like crazy, but you'll get to see that in a few days. Okay, boys, like this video. I appreciate all the support and positivity in 2023. Hopefully we can have more fun and more of the same in 2024. Appreciate you all. See you on the next one.